right, welcome to Inside the Game. It's the Deep Junda, and I'm joined by a very special guest, somebody that I've watched from a distance for the last number of years now, even though he's only 21, playing currently in the ECHL, but signed a AHL contract with Hartford. I want to welcome Sahil Panwar to the show. Sahil, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me here.
Well, let's start. For folks that maybe don't know your journey, but you're born in Mississauga, went to Montreal, moved to California, eventually Michigan, and then back to Ontario. We'll get into all of that, but you're a player that's played all over the continent by the seams of it. And what I like to focus on with you first of all is playing pro hockey, getting your first pro hat trick with the Cincinnati Cyclones of the ECHL. How did that feel?
No, it was unreal. For that night, my parents were actually in town, and I knew they were watching, so it was just a good to put three for them. And no, it was just a good game for me, and our team was able to beat a good team.
Okay, so like any kid playing the game, you imagine that moment, and you imagine how you're going to score the goals. Like everything you imagined, did it kind of feel like, hey man, I've been rehearsing this in my driveway or on the rink all those years? Did it kind of like culminate to be like, I can't believe I got this? Like, what were you thinking in the moment you scored that third one?
Yeah, no, I was like, there it is. I don't think I scored a hat trick for about 5 or 6 years, and to have it in my first pro hockey year was unreal. And hopefully, there's more to come.
So, you've got 16 points in 21 games this year, near a point per game player in the ECHL, but, the stats are great, but to have somebody of our background playing pro hockey, there's a few, Arsh the Bence is doing a great job in the AHL on the West Coast, obviously Jajad Keta, and we know the list of players that used to play back in the day, but how's your first taste of pro hockey going? Like just from, the points are one thing, how you feeling playing at that level?
Yeah, obviously signing with Hartford, and obviously getting sent down here was a little bit of a like I have to work. It's not doesn't come easy. And since being in Cincinnati, I've learned a lot about the pro game. Guys are stronger. But for me, my speed is one of my elite assets, and I use that to help me around, on the ice. So I feel comfortable in this league, and obviously, whenever it is, I'm ready for the call up. And no, for me, it's just day by day, not overthinking, not thinking about the NHL or the AHL. It's just where I am, just focusing on just having a good week of practice and a good week of games.
You mentioned, Hartford, and you went to Rangers development camp. A lot of people in the hockey world took notice because your game did the talking. There was not much else going on there. You were focused on your game. There was a really cool to see from a distance here on the West Coast. But from your perspective, what was your mindset heading into that development camp? Because it seemed like you had a lot of folks in the scouting kind of universe chatting there after that development camp.
Yeah, obviously getting the call from the Rangers for development camp in July was awesome. And my goal was just to have a good showing and obviously learn as much as I can. And obviously after the 5 days of camp, the Rangers really liked me, and they obviously gave me the AHL contract, which was my goal. And that was a great experience. And also getting called up for the NHL main camp was my first experience of being around NHL guys, Panarin, Trocheck, Sturk, and all those guys are just like in awe. And that week or 2 weeks of NHL main camp was something I'll never forget. And obviously, the goal is to work to get there again. And that's why I said just day by day, just not overthinking, just staying to my routine.
Yeah, the points are coming in the ECHL, but you've talked about how being a 200-foot player, a complete player, is the focus for you. And you talk to a lot of people over the years about making the NHL or making pro hockey. It's getting there is one thing, but how do you stick? And that all-around game is oh so important. When you look at that aspect of the game, how do you feel you're doing thus far? And has there been somebody that's really been key in teaching that to you over the years?
Yeah, no, I have a lot of people on my side. One of my great coaches, Tommy O'Neill, he's out of Michigan. We focus on everything. He does video with me. We call it before every game. But going back to your question, down here in Cincinnati, even Hartford, they harp on playing both sides of the puck. And for me, yeah, the offense is there, but I gotta develop my game, in all aspects. So no, I feel good defensively, and now it's just keeping it consistent, and hopefully Hartford sees that and see what happens.
Now, you're doing a great job thus far. Looking back at your journey, 199 OHL games. You played on 4 different teams, if I'm not mistaken. You also, given the circumstances in the OHL and the CHL, there's overagers. You got to move players around to make roster positions. So there's an element of that goes on. But from an individual player's perspective, was that difficult? You're getting your games, but you're kind of bouncing around from a couple of teams. And when you're focusing on your development, like what kept you going though? Because you were voted the most improved player in your final year of the OHL. Like clearly the progress kept on going, but like how did you focus on just becoming better with all that movement?
Yeah, for me, I saw each team, each franchise as a new opportunity. For example, I'll take last year. I started in Peterborough, and we had a very strong team. And obviously, they got 2 more overagers, and I was the odd man out. So I went to a young team in Hamilton, and they gave me every opportunity to play to get the minutes I wanted. And obviously, the production um, you know, paid off, and I had a successful year. And even the team I think we won a good amount of games in the second half. And I was a little bit sad, I'll be honest, leaving Peterborough, but going to Hamilton was a blessing in disguise for me, and obviously gave me the opportunity to go to Rangers camp and be where I am right now. So everything happens for a reason. You just got to stick your foot forward and continue to grind.
And this is where a reminder of viewers that you're 21. You're very young in the game, so this is just a starting point for you. But I want to go back to your original starting point in the game of hockey. As I mentioned in the intro, you went from, born in Mississauga, moved out to Montreal when you were 1, if I'm not mistaken. Eventually, later on, moved to California, Northern California, then to LA. You did a fair bit of moving. Was that family? Was that hockey? Like, going from east to the real west, Cali. What was that transition like for you?
Yeah, so we left Canada when I was 8 years old. Obviously, I picked up hockey in Canada. Then we moved to San Jose for my dad's job, just software guy. He does that, and I didn't even know if I wanted to continue playing hockey, but my mom kind of she found an underground rink up in Northern California, and I just picked it up there, and I think I made the transition to LA to play for the Junior Kings when I was 13. And that's when I knew like I want to pursue hockey. I have a little bit of talent inside of me, and I want to see where this can go. And obviously, it's led my family and me to many places, but we're still here, and the journey is still just beginning. So yeah, I've been around a lot, but every experience has been amazing for me.
You did mention your parents there and, making the move from Canada to the United States, but also navigating hockey, which is not an easy sport to navigate, let's be honest. It's an expensive sport. If your family has never been involved in the sports, kind of tough to navigate as you go. What have your parents meant to you along the journey of not only physically moving from city to city, but just, getting involved in hockey at various levels? And you and your family, I know your siblings are also players as well, right?
Yeah, no, we're a hockey family in blood. My parents, they've meant everything. They've supported me to this day. In my lows and my highs, they keep my head cool, and without them, I wouldn't be here. So obviously, they're part of all this. They're as much as the outcome as I am. I have no words to describe what they've done for me, but I'm just happy they're there for me.
All right, what was your entry point into the game? Was it through like playing right off the bat, or was it something else that got you into hockey?
I think just the Timbits hockey program down in Montreal. That's all I remember, and I just started picking it up. I actually started figure skating, and
Yeah.
then Timbits hockey. Put those two together, and I just love being on the ice. So we're still here, and I don't plan on stopping.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's how Jeff Skinner ended up starting playing hockey as well. He was a figure skater growing up, and the skating translated, and he's done all right in the NHL as well, playing in Buffalo and in Carolina and other places. You're a Cali guy. Your family still lives out there. Who is your idol growing up? Because there's a lot of talk about the Gretzky effect. I'm sure there was a trickle down effect for you, but you're a young guy. You're 21, so Gretzky wasn't playing when you were you were coming up. Was it a Canadian? Was it a Californian thing? Like, who was that idol for you?
I think that idol since day one, I had to go with Crosby. You know, in my generation, Crosby's a guy, and I still have a big poster of him in my on my door. So he's been that guy since I was a little kid, and I still look up to him to this day.
Awesome. No, that's great, and he's one of the guys even from our experience in Hockey Night in Canada, Punjabi, when we got to go to Pittsburgh, stand up guy as well. A very nice individual, and you know how he plays the game on the ice, which is when somebody calls you the superstar grinder, it's a compliment because you work hard and you do everything better than everybody else, and you got skill like nobody's business, right? Just going forward here for you, looking at we've talked about moving ahead with your career and working hard every single day. The community aspect too. You mentioned you're from California. I had a chance to chat with your family a little bit a couple of years ago when I was there for the Indian Cultural Night at the LA Kings game. Just being a rep of the community. I know the Punjabi community and the South Asian community in the hockey world in LA is quite small still. It's growing, but you're a representative of that. Like hockey in that community, hockey amongst the community. Like when you see it grow, how does that make you feel?
Oh, it's unreal. Not for just South Asian kids, but for anyone. This is an amazing sport, and just to have a pair of skates on is the best feeling in the world. So for kids that look like me or anyone, it's an amazing sport, and it teaches you so much about life. So yeah, I just everyone's gonna try hockey.
No, you're doing a great job, man, and keep working hard. I know 199 games in the OHL and moving teams wasn't easy, but you took it the right way, and we've seen your journey from working your way up, whether it was starting with London to now being in Hartford and Cincinnati. So keep doing what you're doing, and you got the community support. And we'll talk to you again. Keep it up.